Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Young Women in Politics podcast. Today I am joined by the wonderful Judith and Ladymore, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a minute. But before they do us a favor and go down into that comment section, leave us a comment, tell us what you want to hear in the future, and leave a like. So let's begin. We'll start by introducing yourselves. We can start with Judith.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. My name is Judith Nasibebo, and I'm a political activist, final year student from the University of Zambia, and a feminist. I'm very happy to be here. So Judith is a final year student. Like I say, I'm a final year student from the University of Zambia, doing cultural studies, minoring in gender and administration. I'm also a writer. I write poems and articles. So I'm a gender specialist. So most of my articles and poems that I write are based on my advocacy for women and girls' rights. Yeah, and I'm also the publicity and information secretary for the University of Zambia, for the United Nations, University of Zambia, United Nations Youth Association of Zambia. I'm the current publicity secretary. I've been running from 2021 to 2022. Yes.
And Ladymore?
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I am great, thank you.
Who is Ladymore?
Ladymore Mwendo. I can say I'm a final year student at Evelyn Hon, Public Relations and Journalism. Ladymore is Evelyn Hon Student Union past judiciary judge, the only female. That is why I so much advocate right now that we can have more females in our upcoming executive. Ladymore is a Zambian upcoming actress. Ladymore is a gender and social inclusion activist. And of course, for me personally, I belong to the UPND. I'm the National Student Command Mobilization Chairperson. I think we're only 2 women in my executive, of which up to now I still put pressure on the rest of the executive, hoping we could have elections soon so that we have more women. It's unfair. Nationwide, only 2 women. Yes.
And it's great to start off like that.
Yes.
See that we have the perfect pair for the conversation that we're going to have. Because today we're talking about why young women should participate in politics. And both of you have experience with politics and feminism and gender inclusion. And Ladymore, I'm going to start with you. You've spoken about being the national student chairperson of your party, but only having 2 people in your executive on the national scale. So why, from your perspective, as somebody who's serving in the political structures, why should we have more young women serving in politics and participating?
I think from what I've experienced so far with my executive, sorry to say this, but we need more women for the sake of accountability. You know, many other times when we are making a decision as an executive, you find that most guys are only interested in having to enrich themselves, having to have money and all that. But yet, as women, for us, we are looking at the well-being of the entire executive, the well-being of the all the students that we represent. But many other times, men don't have to think about that. For them, it's about the money. So when this deal passes, how much are we making? So we need more women in decision-making positions for accountability. Sorry, men, I'm not saying that, you get money and you're more interested in money. But I think for women, by nature, we are nature and we care the same way that women care for families and society and so on. That is the same care and nature that we're going to give when we are making decisions out there. We just don't think of money and ourselves, but the entire organization, the entire community, the entire nation at large.
And Judith, you're a political activist, and you said you're a feminist, an avid feminist. Tell me about how you've experienced being a young political activist, a young feminist political activist, in a world where young women are not really allowed to participate in politics.
Okay, so my experience has been wonderful so far. First of all, because I've been given a platform to be able to contest in the association. Yeah, so the barriers that I think the barriers come in when the institutional barriers. So if we look at the political sector, it has people that are already established. So if I look at the political part, narrowing it down to political parties, we already have people that are there in the parties, and then women are willing, quite alright, to take up these leadership positions, but it's more like a game to them, because at the end of it all, the people that are in front are the ones that make the final decisions. So you find that women are willing to take up this leadership position, but because the party members do not believe that this person might win, they tend to block these women and put in people that they think can win the elections, which happens to be men. Yeah, so the experience, my experience has been very wonderful, but it hasn't been all good, because I remember being discouraged by one of the male counterparts that I interacted with. First of all, when I wanted to contest, the person that was in the previous executive also contested in the year that I contested in. So I tried to talk to him about the position that I was contesting for. He told me, I don't think you stand a chance, because there's already a person who was in the previous executive and he heard that the person was going to contest again. So the person told me, I don't think you stand a chance. Yeah, but I did not, because I'm a woman, but I did not let his words get to me. And the thing is, it's because I was a woman, and also it's because I was young and new to this leadership position, because the previous person was also a woman. But since she had experience, he thought she stood a better chance. Yeah, so I think the experience has been good so far. And there are other people that experience some barriers, like I said, in regards to institutional barriers in political parties.
It's such a shame that young women are told that they're not supposed to participate because they don't have experience, but then they go to the parties and then they're not allowed to participate in the first place. And then that is again used as an excuse to say, oh, you haven't been participating, so we can't give you the opportunity because you don't have the experience. What would you say young women who want to participate, they want to get involved in this, but they can't because of, first of all, the party, or even outside of the party, maybe they want to participate at a student level or just become an activist? What would you say they should do? Why should they keep trying? What would you say?
Okay, so first of all, with people that avoid other people from taking part in politics because they don't have experience, I think that is a very big problem. Because how do you want this person to have experience when you're not giving them the chance to have experience? So it's I think all these people that are established people need to change their mindset, because there's no way one person can have an experience if you do not give them the opportunity to have that experience. What was the last part of the question? Okay. They should keep going, because if you believe in yourself and you have a dream to say you're going to get there, if you stop, you're not going to get there. So I think they should keep trying in order for them to be able to get where they are going. Because if we look at people that have made it in politics, they've just never tried once, and then because they've experienced a barrier, then they stopped. Okay, I cannot continue with politics because I face challenges. Nothing comes out of a silver plate. So if you believe in yourself, you believe you can do it, and you want to get there, don't let any obstacles get to you.
Ladymore, I want us to talk about more of why these barriers are there and why young women should band together and overcome them. You talked about your experience being in an executive that it has very few women, and also your experience being in a party that seems to be a little bit gender imbalanced. That's the reality from every party in the country, really. So why should young women band together and make sure that they change the narrative of female participation in politics?
Why I say so is women should no longer be seeing themselves as passengers in politics. I can give an example of if an MP, a male MP, is standing in a constituency. The first person he would want in his campaign team is a female, is a woman. Why? Because they understand and know the influence that us women have. So if they see that influence in us, why can't we believe in ourselves that we can take that same influence and not just be passengers to push men to be who they are or where they want to be, but as well push ourselves to be in those positions? And I think it comes with encouraging ourselves. I think we have, in politics, we have the older generation. Those are women who are already established or who are already our MPs. It is up to them to also encourage us, the upcoming generation, to say, of course, there are these barriers, but this was a lesson for me. And one thing from what she said on the barriers, one thing I would want to stress out is that barriers are what teach us. Because just for me to be in the executive that I'm in right now, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It was more like... It was, it's a funny memory where I have this national chairperson so furious and upset with me that I influenced students to refuse to be under the district but be under the national youth wing. And why I stood on, I clearly explained why I stood on those points, and everybody was very furious in the executive. But I think that gave people confidence because of what I explained and what they saw. And from what I said, I could see that I was able to influence the rest of the students that were there to say, of course, as students, we no longer want to be under what? The district, but we want to be under national, because you find that the district, the constituency and all that, all these people will be eating the money that is meant for the mobilization of students. And I clearly said that. So it is just up to us to believe in ourselves and always seek for guidance, mentorship from the older generation, no matter what barrier you might have. But always remember that one day you are going to make it. Don't be a passenger, because we are influential. And that's just the truth.
It's a beautiful thing.
Very.
It's a beautiful thought.
Yes.
Judith, in our interactions outside of this, you said this thing that struck me when I asked you initially, why do you think young women should participate? And you said, why not? I want you to elaborate on that for us, because it's a very striking thing to say.
Why not? Because if we look at the way the political sphere is, politics goes hand in hand with decision making. So meaning that the people that you elect to be your leaders become your decision makers. And as women, if you do not have anybody representing you in the political sphere, how are people going to make decisions for you? Because we have people that you elect people to make decisions for you, but they are not women. They do not understand you. They do not know your needs. So electing a woman to become your decision maker is more beneficial to women, because one, you have someone to represent you in the political sphere, and also you have an assurance to say there is someone who understands your needs and knows you better, because they are in the same position with you. So they will make decisions that are going to favor you. That's another thing. And also, I think for a very long time now, if you look at the way our society is so patriarchal dominant, and you find that for so long now, even at household level, a man makes decision according to tradition. A man makes decision for the house, but the woman is the one who takes care of the home. How is he going to know that there is no mealie meal if he's never home? How is he going to know that? But yet he's going to make a decision for you to say, I have to buy this. What if he buys something that is already in the house? Yeah, so that becomes wastage. So I believe women can also do a better job when it comes to decision making, because they have a caring heart, and women have are more responsive than men. If you approach a man and talk to the person about about something, maybe something to do with school, they might respond, but it will be very late. So going through a woman is going to be, you get the response more quick. Yeah, and also when we look at the SDGs, we have gender equality. So gender equality, this is where this is where we see gender equality. It is the situation where you find equal opportunity between women and men, equal representation and equal distribution of resources with everyone in every sector. And one of the goals of gender equality is that by 2030, there is needs to see that there is lower levels of discrimination against women. And how are you going to do that? It's by electing women in these political spheres, because women are the most violated in our societies. Yeah, so I hope I've answered your why not.
Okay.
Also just love to add on what she has said. You know, if any policy or anything in the system goes wrong, the most affected are women. I can give an example of the motion that was in Parliament yesterday, where they turned down to give loans to private universities and schools. Here is a woman who provides and is taking her child to school. Because many other times you find that, yes, she's maybe in the streets, in the markets, just to ensure that that child of hers goes to school. That's an example of a single mother, not a father. Because single fathers, once they forget about their child, they have moved on. But there's no way a woman can forget about her own child. She'll make sure provide the best that she can. So if this policy is passed, that just because her child is in a private university should not be given a loan, she's the one that is affected. So if we had more of women in parliament, in those political decisions, I think they were going to understand the troubles and the hardships that women go through just to see their children exceed in life. Because that is very saddening. And women are always the center pivot in society of any problem, be it climate change, be it gender or anything, because it is them that handle everyday real life situations of the household. Like she said, if there is no food in the house, it is the woman that is first going to get troubled. It is a woman that is first going to start thinking of, what are my children going to eat? That is just who we are as women. So even in society, when we are given those political positions, those decision-making positions, we are going to know that if I do this, how are these going to feel about it? More than men, because many are the times that men overlook those things because it is not in them by nature.
And you find that it's difficult to deliberate over something you've never experienced.
Yes.
By saying we want equal representation, it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to push men out of the spotlight.
Yes.
We just want more women there to make decisions for women,
Yes.
about women, so that we advance their needs forward.
Exactly.
As we conclude, you're both students and you both know what it's like to be a young woman in any space, and that in itself can be discouraging for a young woman trying to go into the political space, being exposed to sexual harassment and being sexualized.
Yes.
Everywhere, literally everything a woman does is sexualized. You can't even eat a banana. It's sexualized.
Yeah.
So what would you say young women need to do to change that narrative?
I think for me, what I would encourage is, it's also how you carry yourself matters. I think many other times women, when they say, I want to be into politics, it's because others, they misunderstand. They think that because when I go looking all beautiful and all nice, I'm definitely going to have the support of this man. But at the end of the day, you're going to find that you're just being used. So if you want, as a woman, you want to be in the political sphere, let men see the brains and not your beauty. That way, they're not going to sexualize you. I can give an example of when I was just a first-year student at Evelyn Horn. The time I started politics, it was surprising to everybody. I could be in meetings with only the male folks. And I'll strongly say what I need to be done, not them to see this or to see that. So it also how you conduct yourself, how you dress, everything that you do. Let it be of respect if you want to be respected in the political sphere and if you want to be feared by the men. Let them not sexualize you, but let them see the beauty in your brains. Yes.
It's a shame that a woman constantly has to overemphasize their merit. You know, you walk into a room, you look good, and automatically people have shunned you because she's probably just a beauty queen. She doesn't really have much to give. Judith, what would you say can be done to take away that narrative of a woman who looks pretty has to overemphasize her merit? She has to, by all means, prove that she deserves to be in the room just because she's decided to wear heels.
I was watching a documentary of women in leadership in Africa, and this woman said, for you to protect, first of all, you have to protect your mental health. So everything that happens in the political space, don't keep it in your heart. It doesn't belong there. Just remove it from your heart. And I think the problem is with the general masses. There's nothing wrong with being beautiful and being ambitious. There's nothing wrong with that. There's this misconception that people have to say if you are brainy and if you are ambitious, you have to look like a man. You're not supposed to be beautiful. That is a very bad way of thinking. Yeah, and I think women also need to. You don't need to justify anything. You don't need to justify your beauty. You don't need to justify your fashion for people to take you seriously. But also, you need to claim your space. Prove yourself to prove those people wrong. To say, if you think because I'm pretty I cannot lead, then you are wrong. So I would encourage these women to, first of all, remove these thoughts from their hearts and also to claim their space. Yes.
So as we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to tell young women in your position, be it students, pupils who want to go into politics, who want to reform structures, but they're being held back and they're being discouraged and they've decided to shun away? Is there anything you'd like to tell them in particular?
For me, the only thing I can tell them is, as a woman, discover who you are, discover your strength. You are created for a purpose, the same way that a man was created for a purpose. If you find that your purpose is in politics, it's in being in those leadership positions, go for it. That is who you are and that is what God created you for. Don't shy around because of what society is going to say, because of what people are going to say about politics. Go for it. That is who you are. Yes.
Yeah, I think for me, those people have to go back rediscovering themselves, because if you know who you are, then you will know what you want, and if you know what you want, you will get it no matter how many obstacles you face. So I believe when you want to achieve something, when you put something to your mind, you are not going to rest until you achieve that thing. So I would just encourage those women to rediscover themselves and rediscover their purpose. That way they won't be easily shaken when they meet obstacles.
Thank you for joining us on the Young Women in Politics podcast. Before we go, make sure you visit the like button and the subscribe button and join us again next week for another exciting episode.